Hey guys, Tbull here. Today we're going to be checking out the new Arpeggio commanders and ships. Want to give a thanks to everyone though. We hit 19,000 subscribers on this channel. Outstanding. Appreciate everyone's support. When we do get to 20,000, we're planning on doing some big giveaways. So hopefully we can get that set up when we get a little bit closer. But a lot of you guys that watch the videos all the time not subscribed. If you don't mind subscribing, it actually does help the channel. And it can bring us all closer to getting some giveaways. Usually do a lot of premium ships and other prizes along those lines. Anyways, Arpeggio, what is this? Well, if you go to this page here in the store, for some reason the Tago's in here, great ship. Don't know what the connection is here, but then it's a bunch of crates here. You can see here. So, you know, drop rates, you're going to have to go online. Crates are what they are. You know, if you want to buy a few crates, just see what you get. It's up to you. If you watch this video and you say to yourself, man, I really need this one commander, and then you wind up spending thousands of dollars getting hundreds of crates just to get the commander, well, I don't know. You know, some people it's going to be worth it, some people not. But anyway, we're going to dive right into it here. I'm just going to go over the commanders, then we're going to take a brief look at the ships. Arpeggio Haruna. Now this one you can see we actually put some points into, and it's because of the base trait. Increased secondary battery range and shell grouping for any ship type. So, interesting. Primarily going to be used for battleships in general. Battleship commander here, you can see we got a heal defensive battleship commander. Unique perk over here, floating fortress. Reduce incoming torpedo damage and damage to your ship's citadel. Well, think about it. Those are kind of the prime sources of damage to battleships. A lot of times anyway. Sometimes they get burned to a crisp. But, you know, that's a fairly decent perk. -6% incoming damage, but not all incoming damage. So, I don't know. Not a game changer in terms of the build. I might slap it on a ship at some point in time. But the base trait, we like to have our fun with the German secondary builds. And this is probably, you know, arguably the best secondary perk in the game in terms of commander build. So, if you're a hardcore German battleship guy, maybe you want to go for this. Now, again, whether the odds and the results are going to match up with your hopes and dreams, I don't know. It's going to be tough to say. Arpeggio Kirishima. This thing over here, we got reduce the duration of increased detectability of your battleship after firing the main guns. Now, battleship concealment builds are kind of a niche concept right now. We've covered it in numerous videos over the years. I'm waiting for them to introduce the concealment mods onto all battleships. I don't know why we're still waiting. Just go ahead and do it. The window for when it's going to be effective is probably closing, so I'd like to see the builds in the game. Would have liked to see them before carriers, but that didn't happen. Anyway, pretty niche. You're going to have to probably pair this with Kondo to see any results, and you're going to need to understand how to play concealment battleship. We're not going to get into that here, but, you know, it's worth checking out. Or it's a concept that some of you might be interested in. Increase the damage of your battleship's AA guns and decrease catapult fighters reload time. A lot of these new perks these days are tailored around aircraft carriers, reducing their effectiveness. This one looks fairly adept at reducing their effectiveness. Effectively, 10% increase your AAA damage and your catapult reloading them a lot quicker. Now, conceivably, you could pair this with Arthas if you have this guy, catapult fighter, mega punch, basically. That's a really niche build. We're not going to get into that here, but that could be an interesting combo for those of you that collect the battleship, or the battleship commanders of the Japanese nation. Arpeggio Takao. This one actually looks fairly interesting. Increase the damage of your cruiser's AA guns. Looks like, I don't know, maybe tops off at about 4 or 5%. Rudder shift time, always nice. Not a huge reduction, but that looks like it'll probably cap out around 3%, give or take. But this perk here, traverse speed of cruisers' guns and torp detectability range. Now, look at the max. We're going to be looking at 1.5 degrees per second. Compare that to Ingenious, 1.8 degrees per second. So roughly you're doubling up your Ingenious in terms of turret traverse. And we're getting more torpedo detection range. Never a bad thing. You know, it's usually cruisers should be the least likely class to get torped in general, but occasionally it does happen. And that's not ever going to hurt you. So I kind of more into the stacking the traverse. What if we throw Einstein on here as well, and then maybe Makawa And then we got like a super turret traverse build for some sneaky antics, perhaps. I don't know. You could get creative with Takao. This one probably going to wind up putting some points into it at some point just to see what we can get out of it. Gunzo, Chihaya. Increase resilience and reduce repair and reload times of torp launchers for any ship type. Okay, well, torp survivability, torp repair time decent. Looks like we're probably capping about negative 10%, plus 10%. And then torpedo launcher reload time, we're talking about a negative 2% reduction. That's, you're not going to notice that really ever. So that doesn't send a tingle at my leg. That one doesn't interest me at all. And then here, the unique perk, well, we got it on slot 3, where now we have the radio locator. You guys know my philosophy. We're going to generally be playing that. This perk actually looks decent. I mean, torpedo launcher reload time, but the damage goes down at a fixed 10%. So this is kind of a play off of Blue Fiora, the Halloween commander for the Germans. Kind of blue light, in a way. You know, not quite reducing the damage as much, but not reducing the reload time on the torps quite as much anyways. But you could put this here. You could put combine it with this. You can get creative. So maybe you can get some interesting destroyer builds, but that one doesn't interest me as much. Iona. Reduce aircraft recovery time. Now this perk, I'm not an aircraft carrier, like a great aircraft carrier mind by any means, or a specialist or anything along those lines. But this one, if I'm going to level this up at some point, I'd probably put this on most of my carrier builds currently. We'll probably continue to see some more carrier-centric commanders introduced over the next year or so, and then maybe this perk will remain somewhat valuable. Maybe it'll decrease in value. Who knows? Time will tell. But reducing the aircraft carrier time, or recovery time, excellent option. Unique perk here. Aircraft carrier HE bomb damage goes up. Aircraft's or air speed of dive bombers goes up. So I mean, generally the Japanese carriers tend to focus more on the torpedoes, at least upon first blush. So this, you could use this as more of a counterbalance, or I don't know. If I'm going to have any interest in this commander, it's probably going to be just focusing on this inspiration. So anyway, that's a look at the commanders. We're going to take a look at the ships now. Briefly, we can show them in the port just so you can see what they look like. Basically, Congo derivations. We got Haruna, ARP, I don't know what ARP stands for, and ARP Kirishima. Different colors. They actually have slightly different stats. This one has a little bit better secondaries. This one has a little bit better AA. I think the one we're going to be checking out in the game, Kirishima. So we'll bounce into that here in a moment. Alright, so jumping in the game here. Big Race Epicenter. First time we've actually seen Epicenter since probably about a year and a half ago. It was during the Yamato test event, was briefly in the game, and then I think once the 4v4 got shut down, then that game mode also got shut down. But basically it's like a domination mode game, but instead of the caps being spread out all over the map, well, here they're stacked inside of each other. You get in the middle, you can capture all of them. You're just in the outside ring. You're only capturing the outside ring. So ideally, from a scoring standpoint, you'd like to get in the middle. Of course, the center of the cap is right in between both teams. Not going to be easy to do early. So I don't have a lot to say about this game mode yet. Like I say, we played it briefly for about a week, like a year and a half ago, and then that's, like I said, this is the first time I played it since then. So anyway, we'll get to see that here. In terms of the ships, Kirishima, we got a little bit better AA, and the other ship, a little bit better secondaries. I tested them both out. I was actually playing the other one a little bit more. The secondaries are okay. You know, I think they kick in about 4.8 on that one, which isn't bad, especially for a lower tier battleship, but it's nothing to really spec your build around, in my opinion. So I've been playing this one a little bit as well. Between the two of them, probably played about 5 or 6 games each. Basically, they're like a Congo Tier 4 Japanese battleship, but with a little bit modifications. The paint job, really cool. It's like those Chinese Dragon, Southern Dragon, Eastern Dragon ships, where it's actually electrified or lit up underwater there. I personally think it's pretty cool looking. I know the purists out there among you guys probably cringe when you see this thing coming towards you. Or hopefully you go to the settings and you turn off those settings so you don't have to look at it. But, you know, I think it looks pretty cool. It is what it is. Not really in it for the historical aspect of the game as much as a lot of you guys, although, you know, that of course can be interesting. But I'd say the ships are cool. In terms of Tier 4, if you don't have any Tier 4, you're looking for a premium, well, there's probably cheaper options. In fact, go to the Bureau right now and do the Bureau project. I think it's for the Oklahoma, I want to say. There's a battleship in there right now, Tier 4 American battleship. That one you can get for free. Might take a little bit longer, but this is no doubt not a cheap proposition getting the ship. Again, if you're trying to get some crates and maybe get lucky, you'll wind up with this one. Okay, not a bad ship. Congo, if you don't know about it, you can steeply angle. Not quite as steeply angled as the Ishizuki at Tier 3, but overall for battleships, it's got nice firing angles. Unfortunately, the nose, I think it's like 19 millimeter armor or something like that. So because we're going to be seeing a lot of Tier 4/Tier 5 games, you're going to have trouble. Okay, and they were able to whack that guy pretty good there. Not quite a Higan, just because he had a little bit less health, but we almost got him there. But, you know, even at the Tier 3, you know, I was looking at the stats here. I think you can bounce, I don't know what you can bounce, but like basically all the battleships at Tier 3 can overmatch the nose here. So like a lot of ships that have that armor characteristics, you're going to want to bait the shots into the side. You can see we're kind of steeply angled towards the New York there, for instance. If he's shooting us directly in the nose, we can't stop him. He can hit us hard. If he's skipping them off the sides and we're pretty steeply angled at him, maybe we can mitigate a lot of that damage. Okay, so that's kind of the idea in terms of the angling. Speed, good, especially for a Tier 4 battleship. Nice maneuverability on these things. I don't hate the Congo. I don't play a lot of Tech Tree Tier 4 battleships. Just the Brittany pretty much is the only one that comes to mind, at least with any regularity. But, I mean, playing this ship a handful of times in both variations over the last couple days, not a bad experience. Guns aren't too bad. They're Japanese battleship guns, so sometimes you pull the trigger and you're like, ooh, yeah, and sometimes you pull the trigger and you're like, oh, no. You know, you just never know what you're going to get until you see the shots head towards the target. But despite the randomized nature of these shots, you know, pretty good overall. This isn't my highest damage by any means, but I thought it was, you know, just a nice brief look at these ships and the ability to put up some damage. There's the Dursky. We saw this on the stream, I don't know, a few weeks ago, where that thing, if you let it get close, it's kind of like the Othotnik on Tier 2 steroids. I think it's got a boatload of torp. So anyway, we've recognized the Dursky. We don't know that much about it, but we know it's dangerous if it gets close to you, so we go ahead and shoot him, as we should be anyways. Here we got an interesting sequence. New York's low, Koenig broadside, but turtle back, so we can't really wreck that ship this range. New York, we'd like to remove these guns. He's angled, we're aiming up. We're trying to hit superstructure, trying to hit the nose a little bit, maybe knock out some guns, whatever. We take him down. And here I'm going into this sequence thinking ram, and then I'm like, no, pull out. We don't need to ram this guy. We got some more kills to get, maybe even a Kraken perhaps, but he's going for the ram. And once we're kind of stuck in between turret or rudder positions and he's dedicated to the ram, well, at that point in time, we just let go of our fears and accept our fate as a rammer. So not bad damage, especially for a little bit brief game, 5-minute game there. But I just want to give you a short look at that ship. You know, it is what it is. If you like Congo, you'd like this one. Maybe you want to target it. But in general, my recommendation with these commanders is none of them are earth-shatteringly life-changing. Okay, now the secondary one, again, if you're going for balls to the wall secondary build, it's kind of a nice piece to have, okay? But I caution you, don't go overboard spending like a madman. You can get great secondary builds without this particular character. And the other ones, we saw there was a handful of decent ones. There was one or two that were like, whatever. It's the first aircraft carrier event commander. So if you want to try your luck with some of the crates, go ahead and get them. My recommendation, though, don't skip your mortgage payment going for 5,000 crates. Just stay on track financially, and you'll do great for yourself. Anyway, that's a look at this collection for you guys. Hopefully you did enjoy it. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, consider subscribing. We got lots of World of Warships. It's coming all the time. Questions, comments, leave them below. Love to hear from you guys, and we'll see y'all later. Peace.